What is up, comic fan? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night. That means this is at week's end, the spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and so much more. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, from the new Green Lantern, Beware My Power movie, to Superpets, to Harley Quinn Season 3 kicking off on HBO Max, as well as all these great new comic books to review. But before we get into any of that, check this out. All right, I'm joined tonight by two esteemed guests, starting with the man on the run, still on the run, stays on the run, none other than Ryan, aka New Guy, aka the Cosmic Campfire. What's going on, man?
What is up, man?
You have so many aliases.
I know, right? I'm just trying
All
to
the
stack
aliases.
them,
Yeah. And Chris, the comic vet, as per usual, he's got the new work schedule, so he's not with us tonight. But we have, from the next sector over, none other than Mr. Paul Cook himself from Sector 2815. What is happening, Paul?
Not much. I don't need to be on the run because I am firmly entrenched in the Witness Protection Program.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry.
I do like that shirt you're wearing. For those that don't know, that
Thank you.
shirt is available now at the merch store that I set up here recently. The link is in the description. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So if you want any Legion of Comics merch, be sure to check out the description to all my videos. The link will take you right to it. Let's see what this is. What a rare week's end. I've read my book. Our chapter shows Mark was talking about this week. That's pretty impressive. That means I'm about to do this. Did either of y'all watch the Harley Quinn stuff?
I did.
Yes. You're on top of it. Like,
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I kind of fell behind on my books a little bit, but I saw Harley Quinn. I saw Superpets.
What?
And I watched Green Lantern.
Yes.
Ooh.
Dude, it was a great week for animated DC just across the board.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Let's kick it off and touch on some of those real quick. So in order, which one did you watch first?
I watched Green Lantern first, of course.
Same here. So yeah, I didn't realize it was coming out this past Tuesday. We went to Target to go do something, and we got to the checkout line, and it was right there. I'm like, holy Toledo. So nabbed it, came home, watched it immediately. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. They made some major changes to our primary character, John Stewart.
Right.
And definitely we'll get into that. First reaction, though, I was taken aback at some of it. It was very grand in scale. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is spoiler filled, so it took Hal's origin and applied it to John, basically. But then it had elements of Green Lantern Rebirth. It had elements of the Parallax, exactly. You know,
Yes.
the Sinestro Corps War. It had elements of the Rand Thanagar War. It had all of those things in like 87 minutes.
Yeah, so this is the fourth installment into the new connected universe for the DC animated movies. We had Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Batman: The Long Halloween, and then Justice Society World War II.
Yep.
Now we got this one, and there's clearly been a small time jump in this one. And I also kind of got like Simon Baz's origin. Wasn't he like a military or something?
Simon Baz? No,
Yeah,
John was in the men. No, Simon Baz was basically he was just like a street kid or whatever, and he was given the ring. So
nice. Yeah, so this opens up with like John having like bad flashbacks to the war and some of those terrible decisions that he had to make while he was there. And instead of Abin Sur coming to him, a Guardian crash lands just like how Abin Sur did. And can't even get any words out, but you realize like something bad has happened, and this was a last-ditch effort to get here. And the ring eventually takes him up to the Watchtower, where we get introduced to Martian Manhunter, Vixen, Green Arrow, and I think there's one other one there, wasn't there?
Hawkgirl came in later.
Yeah, she came in later. So they started fighting at first, but then they noticed that he's a Green Lantern, and they mentioned that they knew Hal. So Hal has already existed in here. And they also make mention of Batman and Superman being off doing something. That's why they're not appearing in this, but they kind of set in there that the Justice League has formed at this point. So that was pretty cool. And they they go out looking for answers, and they stumble upon the Rand Thanagar War, more or less, and they meet up with Adam Strange, which I thought was fantastic. And we kind of get a flashback to Hal and see that he was actually working with the Ranians. I don't even know what you'd call them. He was working with Rand and Thanagar. They managed to find a little bit of peace, but things went south, and it looked like this machine that they were building kind of turned on them and started decimating them, and Hal died trying to save them. And it was Hal's ring that he had, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Hal's ring. Because at one point they asked the ring, whose ring are you? And he said, who he asked the ring who was the previous owner, and it says that it was Hal Jordan.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this movie plot wise, like an extremely a lot of stuff. But it was kind of based, once we get out to space, it's really based on the whole conflict that Rand and Thanagar was having between each other, and this war that keeps going and going. And we find out that Sinestro and the Sinestro Corps have something to do with it and everything. And it goes forward. You get a little bit of fighting out of that, and they get thrown in jail. And that's where we find Hal Jordan's alive, and he's just got a beard, and he looks like a hobo, like with like a what do they call it, poncho and a beard, pretty much. And long story short, he turns out to be a savage. He just starts killing people to get out of jail, and Ollie's looking at him like, dude, what's up with you? Like, this isn't normal. He's like, yeah, being in captivity changes a man, and it just kind of escalates from there. And you find out that the Sinestro Corps did not have him prisoner, that they are actually working for him. And it was, what was it, like Sinestro and him had gotten into a fight previously, and he bested him. And
Yep. And then he basically, the yellow entity, which is Parallax, comes out of Sinestro and crawls into Hal Jordan. And then they kind of both fly off, and you get Hal Jordan doing a full Thor, basically.
Oh, yeah, naked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they kind of fly off, and so there's a lot of flashbacks too to things that happened previously to kind of catch you up on things. And that's kind of when at that point, that's kind of when Hal shows his true colors. And then the battle is on.
My wife showed me kids' shoes. They just came in from Target.
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny too, because Jon Stewart, from the very beginning, he can't take the ring off at the start. Okay. And then he ends up going to Oa, and he sees that Oa's been decimated there as well. And then that's when they end up meeting up with Sinestro and everything, and that's how they end up getting captured. Green Arrow and John.
I thought that was pretty cool how the ring wouldn't let him take it off until he was ready. Yeah, it was like a fail safe. Like, this isn't just disposable. You can't ditch it. I think he'll like those. These look like his last ones.
Yeah, so are these.
And actually, Ollie, Green Arrow, actually has, since he obviously knows Hal so well, he kind of coaches John through a lot of the things, like charging up his ring. He tells him the oath to use and everything.
That was super cool when you had to explain the oath to him and how to charge it.
Yep.
I like the animation style in this, like that, because like for a while it was like the same animation until the Dark Side War stuff, and then it switched over to this new animation. But it's really smooth. Like the fight scenes are really seamless and everything. And that final fight in this was really, really cool. Like Hal kind of reveals his true colors finally when they kind of catch on that Hal is actually behind all of this. And it was pretty cool when he goes full Parallax. It was very recognizable, but it was definitely in its own type of way where it's just glowing with energy. He didn't have the armor on and everything. He's like black and green, full of energy. And he even holds his hands up, and he has all the rings from where they went to Oa and decimated it. And he showed Sinestro his true power, how strong his will actually is. And he just pulls all the rings to himself. So he has two hands full of rings, and he just does the famous shot.
Famous cover.
Wow.
Looking like your favorite YouTube auctioneer.
Yeah. It's like, who will be live tomorrow night for the first start of his new auction series for all y'all who follow Pedal and Pete's auctions. He was going to go tonight, but they would pull it off. So it would be tomorrow night. But yeah, the fight with him and John was pretty cool. He was just kind of, it was that moment where John had to really like trust in himself and really like have that, what do they call him this? Like something willpower, singular will,
Right.
like really lock into that. And that it was pretty cool because he only had his civilian clothes on. He never like trusted in the ring until the final fight when it kind of just like fully charged up and like blew all the civilian clothes off and he had his full John Stewart suit on. And the fight was pretty cool and everything. And I think the dopest thing was when he fought Sinestro, and it was one of those Superman Zod moments. Sinestro wouldn't stop. He had stripped the ring off of John's hand, and he was about to kill him. And that's when John like really started focusing and just put his hand out and pulled his ring to him through Sinestro's chest. Yep. And he got it on his hand. That was pretty wicked. But if you follow these movies, it's definitely a good one. Yeah, you don't want to skip it. It really moves the needle forward. It introduces a lot of characters. I do think it's a little bummer that we burned past some of these characters because that was a big story to tell so early on that we're kind of just kind of step past Hal Jordan and everything. But we got Adam Strange, we got Hawkgirl.
Yeah, and to answer Headquake Jr.'s question, they didn't do the 24 hours. They basically just did whenever they had to repower. But the other thing too is if you have a chance, watch the 30-minute documentary that's on John Stewart. That's either on the physical media or if you get the download, I think you probably get that as well. It's done really well. It's done by you have Jim Lee that's in there. You have Phil Lamar, who did the voice for John Stewart for the longest time in the Justice League series. But they talk about how it was created, and Jim Lee goes into the fact that John is actually an architect. So you have like Guy Gardner, and the constructs kind of mirror that. Like Guy Gardner does fists, and very blunt instruments, but when they're drawing the constructs for John, it's very detailed because he takes things apart and he put it together and everything, and what like an architect was. So it's really an interesting documentary. It's about 30 minutes.
Jeff Johns really unpacked a lot of that when he first took over with Green Lantern Rebirth. He talked about how all of John's constructs, no matter how crazy they look, if you stop and look at them, they're all fully functioning machines that you can build.
Right.
That's why like Kyle's always kind of erratic with his being an artist and everything.
Right.
Yeah, it was fun. I'll be honest with you. I had a lot more fun watching Superpets. That movie was a blast, dude. It was so that League of Superpets is the new DC Comics movie that about the dogs, about mainly about Crypto and Ace the Bat Hound. It's pretty much an origin story for Ace. Simple plot, Lex Luthor was trying to pull an orange meteor to Earth to give himself superpowers. He gets foiled by the Justice League. A piece of this meteor falls into an animal shelter where you see all these different pig, squirrel, a little hairless guinea pig that was an experimental lab rat basically for Lex Luthor earlier in its life. And it's evil and thinks itself Lex Luthor's equal and partner, that they were working together when it was just a experimental gerbil. So it ends up getting the kryptonite, giving itself powers as well as everyone in the room, and it becomes your Lex Luthor of the movie. And it's just seeking revenge on Superman and everyone is trying to take over the world. It gets really crazy, but there's a lot of subtle Easter eggs and nods to DCEU stuff left and right. By the end of the movie, the little gerbils like Doomsday from Batman v Superman, but like even with like the red power explosions at certain parts and stuff. But it was a hilariously fun movie. I highly suggest people checking it out.
Yeah, and then the subplot is Crypto, who is Superman's best friend, is feeling a little bit left out because Superman's going to propose to Lois Lane, and so he's afraid that he's going to be supplanted, and he's not going to need him anymore or pay any attention to him. So, but yeah, I mean the dialogue was incredible, and yeah, and it's funny too because they use the Justice League, but they use like Jessica Cruz.
Yeah,
they use some other people, besides the people that you would normally see.
Aquaman's design was awesome. He was in his like yellow and green suit, but he had the hook hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It was funny. Yeah. Yeah, the character designs were fantastic. There was 2 after credit scenes for it as well, where Mercy Graves, Lex Luthor's right hand, shows up at the end and goes and gets the guinea pig, and they become like I don't know, like I don't want to say master pet, whatever.
Right.
And they run off together. Then after that, we get introduced to Black Adam's dog, his pet dog. Did you say for the after credits?
Yep.
Yeah, that was probably the funniest movie. You had Black Adam's dog trying to explain to Crypto who he was, and he introduced themselves like, that's Black Adam, we're anti-heroes, and Crypto couldn't wrap his head around that. He kept asking him, isn't that a villain? No, anti-hero. Yeah, anti-hero. That's a villain, right? No. We make up our own rules, then we break them. Yeah, dude, you're a villain. Like, it was hilarious.
Yeah, and obviously the meta part of it is, you're talking to Black Adam, the guy who's playing Black Adam, right? So
so at that point, The Rock was doing like 3 voices. You had Black Adam in the scene, Black Adam's dog, and Crypto. It was pretty funny, doing them all different. I think probably the wildest part of the movie for me was that sadistic cat that was going around, like was just shooting all the missiles out of its tail. See you in heck. Like with these nice cat eyes, just trying to just murder. Like, this is nuts. What is going on, Mad Spidey? The turtle was pretty funny too, just throwing obscenities left and right. Like there's actual beeps in the movie, like beeping out this old lady turtle swearing. It was funny. What is going on, Chip?
And we got to see, speaking of Chip, we got to see Chip in the movie.
Chip was in the movie, the Green Lantern squirrel character who didn't have Green Lantern powers. They gave him electrical powers, but by the end of the movie, he was linked up with Jessica Cruz. So maybe if they do more of these, we'll see him as a honorary member of the Corps with a ring or something. That would be very appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. You're right. I mean, it was just a fun movie. It was like, if you just want to spend like 90 minutes, it's not deep, but you'll laugh. I mean, they do some of the things like, okay, Crypto has a secret identity. He puts a pair of glasses on. He's Bark Kent.
Yeah, no, about the 90-minute thing. One thing that I noticed too was it was an hour and 50 minutes long, like of movie. Like when we were looking up tickets, like how long are kids' movies these days? My wife assured me that was normal, but even the Green Lantern movie, I think it was like over an hour and a half. These things are getting longer and longer. No, it's right under an hour and a half, but it was a full length cartoon, that's for sure. Yeah. And then lastly, Harley Quinn season 3 premiered on HBO Max, and it premiered with all of its glory. That's a wild show. So if you did not have the DC Universe app when it first came out, and they started that show, it is now on HBO Max. This is the first season that's premiering on HBO Max for the first time, and it picks up right where the little comic book they did, that miniseries, the Eat, Bang, Kill tour. Yeah. It picks up and kind of touches on that a little bit. Harley and Ivy are actually together now, and they're celebrating their togetherness by robbing, murdering just the world over violently, just enjoying life. And it's just crazy antics. There's no real like plot going on other than them just trying to find themselves and where they fit and stuff. But,
yeah. And I mean, to me, it's like, I mean, you're right. I mean, there's not really any coherent story necessarily that's really kind of going on, but I just listen to see, to see if I can catch, what they're going to say next. And it's like, it's like, because it, to me anyway, it's going to be gold. The writers on this just do such a fantastic job of, exactly. Nightwing is hilarious on Harley.
I think that the only plot thread that they're introducing is that like Ivy would love to reclaim Gotham as it was thousands of years ago. So through a couple episodes, she's been talking about that and planning that. But of course, there's all kinds of goofy stuff going on. Like you have the annual Villy Awards where she wants to win Best Couple. That's her and Joker always did. Now her and Ivy have to. And just little things like Nightwing showing up in an episode and it's the return of the prodigal son. And he's coming back with his own Batman voice and stuff. And there's really no way to recap all this stuff because it's just so much non-stop just toilet humor, but the best is like done so well.
Yeah, and he's in the Batcave, and he looks over, and suddenly Batgirl is there, and she's got this new uniform, and then you turn around, and suddenly Damien, turns around, and he gives him the bird. I think he gives him the bird later, but
from the Batmobile.
Exactly.
Yeah, they get ready to leave, and Nightwing goes shotgun, and he looks over, and you can't even see Damien. You just see his hand come up and shoot him the bird. And they're not tall enough to be seen. It's hilarious. It really is. Oh yeah, Clock King is the
Clock
Riddler's
King.
boyfriend.
Oh yeah. and Cock King as well.
Yeah, Cock King was in it too.
Yeah.
Joke, oh, he's a chicken. How cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Definitely recommend it. There's nothing to recap on it. Just go watch it. It's just nonstop joke after joke. King Shark's back. Clayface is back. The regular cast is back. You've got Clayface already accidentally killed Billy Bob Thornton.
Right.
Clayface is working as the director's chair for James Gunn, who James Gunn is actually in 2 episodes so far.
Yeah.
Because Clayface is a thespian. He's an actor, and he can't get a gig. He flunked out a gig for a James Gunn project, but he did manage to sell himself to James Gunn as his chair. So he's James Gunn on his face, and he gets paid. Yeah, he accidentally gets Billy Bob Thornton killed, and he doesn't know what to do, so he calls King Shark to come and eat his corpse to clean up the body. It's insane, man.
That's amazing.
It's so good, though.
It's so funny.
So news-wise, I don't know if there's any big announcements or news or anything. Not that I can think of or remember. I don't know if anything stood out to you guys this week.
Well, Paper Girls premiered this week. I haven't watched it, but it was supposed to come out, I think, Friday. And then, of course, Amazon, their favorite move, dropped it like an hour or like 24 hours early or something. So
there we go. Thank you, Louie. Yeah, Ben Affleck was confirmed to be in Aquaman 2, so we got him in the trailer for Shazam. He's confirmed in the Flash movie, as well as the Flash movie just had more advanced screenings happen and more feedback come back from that. A lot of details. I don't really want to go over that because that would be like spoilery, because it's like literally details of the movie from the people that watched it. But it's no secret that Batfleck is in that, and now he's confirmed to be in the new Aquaman film as well, which that leak happened on accident. There's actually footage of it happening where Ben Affleck and Jason Momoa were walking out of one of the studios at WB, and on WB Studios, people tour that place. Like you pay money, you can go on the property and tour the sets and everything. And one of those like 5-row seats golf cart comes driving by right as they walk out and see Jason Momoa and Ben Affleck standing there right in front of the studio. And they just freeze. And Jason pulls up his phone. Oh, cat's out of the bag. We're busted. I thought that was cool. That was definitely funny. The 30th anniversary for the Death of Superman special is coming.
Yeah.
They're getting the gang back together. There's going to be a couple of different things that they're offering. I think it's a few different stories. I don't know if it's one big one or what.
Yeah, there's 4 different stories because there were 4 teams at the time, because there were 4 titles that played into the Death of Superman. So they're each doing a story. There will probably be at least 30 covers, one for each year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Between retailer exclusives and everything else, I think they've already announced probably at least 7 or 8 covers anyway.
Yeah, the Dan Bergen wraparound looks awesome. It's got like this wraparound cover that has like pretty much the whole story like in a mural form. It looks really cool.
They're gonna do another poly bag like they did before with the armband in it.
Armband, yeah. Yep. The actress who played Lieutenant Uhura passed away today. 85 years old, was it?
Mm.
So that's pretty much all I got. By this time next week, the new Predator movie will have come out. That's exciting. So I plan on talking about that next week. For those that have Hulu, it's premiering on Hulu. All right, reads. You said you didn't get to all your reads this week, Paul. But what did you get to?
I read Action Comics,
Okay.
and I read one other one too, but I can't remember what it was right now.
Was it Detective, Swamp Thing, Aquaman?
Yes, it was Detective.
Yeah, that. Ryan, what'd you read?
Yep.
Action, Detective, Kaiju Score, Superman, Space Age, Swamp Thing, and We Only Find Them When They're Dead.
Space Age. We only find them. All right. That leaves a quick recap. Nothing happened in this book at all whatsoever. And then on the last page, like, oh no, Arthur's dead. So this book was a victim of early cancellation, and it showed from that last issue to this issue. This issue, I guess they just wanted to round off 6 issues. You could have ended it in the last issue. No point in this one. It was a bummer. Genis Vell came out this week, which is Peter David doing Legacy, Captain Marvel's son. Don't know how I feel about this. It's kind of goofy. It was just him looking for Marlowe. It was, I don't know. They got to do something with it in the next issue. I might not even keep pulling it. All right. Now we're on track. Now the rest of them, most of us have read. I did not read We Only Find Them When They're Dead yet. Ryan, if you want to recap that one real quick.
I mean, honestly, not a lot happened in this issue. We kind of got like the backstory for the other character that was there. So, we have the android, and he's like going to get on the rebuild of the original ship, and then there was like a pilot there that kind of like seemed to know things that were going on, but not quite know things and stuff like that. So basically you get his backstory as to like who he is and why he's there. And then they go into, they're flying on the ship. They go into some dangerous space, and they encounter 2 ships that have weapons and are ready to fire. Meanwhile, they're on a excavation ship that does not have any weapons. And so Android Homeboy like takes over, by force, and uses the capabilities of a autopsy ship to fight these other 2 ships. So it's like pretty cool, but like also not like a ton of like to me it wasn't quite as interesting as the last issue, but there's still like things that happen, and there's some good action to it because you get to see him kind of repeat the move that ends the what was it, the 5th book, the first arc. Yeah, he kind of pulls that, but in a different way. And it's him like tapping into those memories, So there's cool stuff going on, but it's kind of like part and parcel, You're not getting like a ton of information all at once.
I'll be honest with you. This arc, I'd be perfectly happy with no action and only dialogue. Like, just the nature of this arc with where they're at in Malik's legacy.
Yeah, which I think is the thing that I didn't like particularly like. Not saying I didn't care for this issue, but what I thought was weakest about it was that there was like an action beat to it and stuff. Because I was like, no, at this point, like we're all bought in. Like we really just want like some deep lore and to like really get into it.
I want nothing but exposition at this point.
Yeah, like at this point, like him and the pilot and the android could have just talked the whole issue, and I would have been perfectly happy with that. Especially since there's like 2 other voices in his head that the other party is not privy to.
Yeah.
So like the whole like conversation is amazing because they're like, he's lying, and then like they start breaking down everything he's saying, and it's just like getting like real methodical in the conversation. You're like, oh man, this is awesome. And then it's like, oh, now we need an action beat. And I'm like, I didn't.
Nope.
You could have kept doing that thing.
Like you pointed out with the last issue, which is the first issue of this arc, it has that David 8 from Prometheus vibe to it.
Yeah.
You didn't need to see Michael Fassbender fist fighting anything. It's which is so interesting is just watching his train of thought work. It's so unnatural. That's what the draw really is, and that hooked me with that issue. And I'm definitely excited to see how this all plays out. I think this being the last arc and us knowing that we only have 4 more issues is going to play into how like we receive these issues. There's a lot of story to be told in this arc. There's been a lot of story in each arc. So every action scene at this point is wasted potential for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of remind me of like that. Remember in the last book, not the last book, but like the last arc, I guess, whenever they like all turn on them, whenever they come in and they like reveal that they're really there to like take everybody hostage, and they turn, and it's like almost like just a single page action scene, you know, like that's kind of what this was. Like it's a cool action scene because it pays homage to what created all of this in the first place, but it also doesn't take up a ton of real estate in the story.
Yeah.
It was a good book. I enjoyed it.
All right, I want to touch on one real. We'll switch gears. Yeah, I want to touch on one that you mentioned. It came out 2 weeks ago, but it absolutely blew my mind. I think I read it today or last night. Whenever I blew y'all up, Ryan. But Starhenge, like I completely missed its release. I had talked about it with Ryan a long time ago when they announced that Liam Sharp was doing his own book for Image. And just in my haste of looking through stuff, I missed the release date. So I went back, and Paul at the Augusta Book Exchange had one, and it's got it on my pool. And I just read it, and this book was amazing, like simply amazing. I don't know who even knows it's out there, if anyone else read it. It's a story told across time about a cosmic war and how it interconnects to all these different time eras, and how science has betrayed mankind, and how there's only one thing that can top science, and that's magic. And not like magic as we would think about it, not like Disney magic, but like actual science yet you don't understand magic, you know, like how you perceive magic, and having to find that again in the past to bring it back to the future with you because it's not present anymore in the future. And that sounds crazy, I know, but just imagine that Liam Sharp's painted artwork telling the story with you. And I cannot stress this enough. Like if you're somebody who likes hard sci-fi, or if you just like mesmerizing art just to carry you, this is the book for you. It is good. And I'm not
it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I had to read it twice, because as I was reading it the first time, the words were just like kind of going like, because I was looking at the pictures going, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. I didn't know you're right. Dude, that's awesome. Liam Sharp for the win.
Yeah.
What gets me is like the intentional use, because like language has evolved. So in the future, they're using terms, but they're not spoon feeding us. Like how we talked about with Dune was so good because they're not spoon feeding you the details. Just watch how the world works and get in where you fit in. And some of the language is very specific, it turns out, because at the end, the big tell is like when they send so that's the queen that's focused on the cover there. She's of the human race that's left. They're fighting against an AI that they accidentally woke up. When they figured out how to light travel and stuff, they immediately started hitting Goldilocks zones out in space to see what they can find, blah, blah, blah. They stumbled across what looked like old fortresses. And when they went inside, they turned on the AI, and it immediately just started killing. And they basically woke up their enemy. They didn't mean to. And one of the most haunting things about the issue was when it talked about one of the first things the AIs did was study us. And they saw how we wore machines. We would have Bluetooths in. We would have our headphones on. So that's the first thing the machine did when they kill us. They would wear us. And you get this creepy shot of like this Terminator-esque looking thing with like an Alex Murphy skin stretched across its face. I'm like, this is nuts, dude. But so the queen, she has genetically altered her son to be like the best warrior that they could possibly build, you know, augmented DNA and stuff. And she reveals to him at the end that they've sent people back through time to try to find where the magic was lost. And no one has been heard from since our opening scene where we saw one of her emissaries get killed. I'm like, what a pairing. But so she sends her son back in time, and he wakes up and he comes crawling out of the water and stuff. And this bearded man with a cloak walks up and says, "Small person, are you okay? Can you talk?" And all he can do is utter two words that were said to him by his mother before he left. And those two words were Mer and Lynn, the two people he was searching for. So Merlin, and that's who he was talking to. He was talking to freaking Merlin. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. I'm telling you, like, whenever it opened, I'm like, okay, I'm into this. Like, I got it. I'm getting it. Okay. Now I'm kind of lost. But, like, the artwork just, like, takes over in a way, you know? And, you know, like, I'm just, like, looking at each page whole cloth, you know? Because a lot of it is, like, a full image and then just, like, these panel lines over it. But they're not really, like, like it's not really like sequential artwork. It's giving you the perception of time over a full page image. And so like
the pacing perfectly. They did that with the first 2 pages, and I didn't skip it. I didn't full page it. I panel by panel it, and I paced it. I'm like, this is how I'm going to read this book. And dude, it was flawless.
Yeah, it kind of like makes me think of like the Renaissance, you know, and kind of like what he's talking about, right? The marriage of like magic and art, because you think about like, you know, we have lost the magic of art because we're so consumed by technology and data, and like well, you know, there's like these apps and stuff like Midjourney is one of them where they use AI to create artwork based on the description that you give the AI. And so it's like kind of taking the magic out of artwork and just like automatically generating it for you, you know? And so like the whole concept he's touching on there just kind of like makes me think of like a Renaissance where he's like kind of like bringing art back into focus, you know? And I was even listening to an episode of Couples Counseling, the podcast, and they were talking to Tyler Crook, who is a comic book artist. You know, he's worked with a lot of different stuff. And one thing he was talking about, because he's created his own book as well. He's an artist that has now created a creator-owned title with Image and stuff. And one thing he was talking about is how frustrating it is. Like the writer writes, and he totally respects that. You know, like he's not dissing the writer, but then as the artist, he'll spend like 6 months creating this book to go out on shelves, and then anytime you look up the book on Amazon or something, you can find it with the writer's name but never the artist's name. Yeah. And like it almost feels like kind of we're at this point, you know, like in the 90s you had the image revolution that kind of was like artists kind of kicking back and saying like, well, we could tell a story too, you know. And I feel like we're kind of starting to hit this inflection point where artists are going to want their due as well. And then you see like Liam Sharp doing this book that kind of touches on like how we're losing the magic and like kind of bringing about this renaissance of like artwork and the credibility of the art that's in a comic book these days, you know? And so like, it's like this whole thing where like, yeah, the story is amazing. The book was awesome, but like, there's this whole like meta context to it all.
Yeah, I was really impressed by to me anyway, it was the marriage of, you know, if you want a sci-fi book, this book is for you. But if you want a fantasy type, you know, Camelot type book too, this book is for you too. It's a perfect marriage of both. It really is.
Yeah. And modern time at that as well. It's like modern teen angsty stuff. Like you have this girl in modern time, and they haven't explained how she's going to tie to stuff yet, but you can already see like the little clues in there, like the things she's into and studying are clearly something that was real in the past that she's not even aware that was real and stuff. But it definitely had it all. But that was a really fantastic description there, Ryan. that was man, you got my gears turning and they don't know where to go. But
yeah, and actually I was just looking at the
always work though. Like I was going to say, it's not very often here lately, at least, that I've picked up a book where an artist is like, you know what, I'll write too, and it was good. But this is like one of those like Department of Truth. There is a lot of plot planning done with this. There, like this is like some Charlie Cox and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia stuff with the red string on the board and the 5,000 espressos. Like this is
Cheryl. There is no Cheryl.
I think it came out 2 weeks ago, or not even two, because I missed it and then I had to get it.
Probably
and then I was like
3 weeks. Yeah, I was gonna say right before we got on, I was looking at the August solicits, and that the next book is due out in 2 weeks, I think the 10th.
Yeah, so it's 2 weeks old.
Yeah, so it's about 2 weeks old. So
it's 2 Sundays old.
2 Sundays old.
Yeah, because I had it sitting here last Sunday and I hadn't read it yet, and it was a Sunday before that when you mentioned it. I'm like, that's the Liam Sharp book that I was pumped about. I suck at keeping up with anything but DC. Admittingly so.
Yeah, it's books I really enjoy because like I just kind of get lost in it. Like I know we're gonna pick up. I'm sure Flo is about to show up because that's what I love about Tom King books is like as I'm reading a Tom King book, like nothing else exists. There's a lot of other comics that I read that are not immersive enough and like detailed enough to get me lost in them. But whenever I read something like the Stonehenge book or Starhenge or like a Tom King book like Batcat, like those books, I forget everything's going on. I just get like completely lost in it, and I don't need anything else. Like it's just a great adventure to go on.
Yeah, I actually read it outside on my back patio too, and it was like I'm sitting there under like these, like I have these giant oak trees, it's like canopied in my backyard. I'm sitting under there, like sit back, and just reading. I was gone, like I told you, it was the way that he did those first 2 pages with those. It was 12 panels, 3 rows of 4 panels. And it was the way I was like, all right, I hit it. Like the kids were staying with my mom last night, playing over there. Wife was at work. It was just me. It was just me and the wiener dog walking around. It was perfect. Thinking about the Charlie Day crazy wall, the police probably if someone buys just red yarn. Yeah. Exactly. When it just takes you away. And this was one of those. So, all right. Someone else pick one.
Action Comics?
Yeah.
I know Ryan's itching to talk Action Comics.
I don't know at this point. I hope I remember enough details. I mean, in this one, they've been talking a lot about like the star generator things at the center and everything that kind of powers all of War World. And they've been
itching to get to them.
Right. And they've kind of they've almost been like breadcrumbing the idea, like we're going to have to go underground to get to where these star forges are and stuff. So this was kind of the issue where we finally got to find out what's underground.
Right, it's the Fire of Ulgrin, I think, or something, right? I don't recall the exact title of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But the weapon actually that can defeat Mongol is the one that's underground, and it ends basically with Superman, has to face another trial in order for him to be let in underground in order to get the weapon to then take on Mongol. So
now, is this the weapon, or is this that source of like one of the old gods that Mongol is wanting, but he can't get it? From what I remember, like, because there's a lot going on in this. Mongol is chasing this ultimate power, which is a power source that is tied to the old gods, but it's not like something you can just go and grab and harness. It has to allow you to. You have to be worthy based on its standards. Yeah, based on its standards. And Mongols knows that he can't do that. That's why Cal is here. That's why he's being toyed with and kept alive. He's part of Mongol's long game. And before they even get to that, Superman and a bunch of the what would you call them? Philosians, isn't that the name of them? The ancient Kryptonian offset that has been his prisoners. They're all trying to figure out what to do next, because at this point, Mongol has Apollo, he's got Omak, he's got Light Ray, all reborn as part of his army, just thrashing the Philosian uprising. And they're looking at hopeless odds, even for Cal at this point. And they all have different ideas of what they should do. And Superman's shooting them down. And then finally, he's like, you know what? I have to do things differently here. This is a hopeless scenario, so let's do all of it. Every plan someone's got, let's go and take it into consideration and put it into action.
Yeah.
And his was, he was going straight to that core, to where that power source is. And in the process, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, remember all the way back in, like, the annual, I think it is, that's when they introduced this character that has kind of been, like, keeping hope alive through the Philosian people through story, by giving them these stories of like a man that could rise above all limitation and be able to take the Philosians into like the next era, and like he's been keeping hope alive, especially through children, by telling them these stories. And so that's what made this like reveal just like so amazing. It's all been all the way back to like the annual or something like that last year.
Yeah, because that person turns out to be tied to this power source. He's almost just like a materialized entity of it. It's not even a real person.
Yeah, they finally cracked those giant doors underground and open it up, and he's like there, and they're just like, yes, Brother John. they crack those doors open, and he's there like in this power source, and basically explains that Superman is going to have to go through a trial and fight a god in order to be able to save these people that he's so desperate to save. And his name is like Byla, and he comes off as like from Dogma, like I am the voice of the Metatron, because he's kind of like, I'm not responsible for this. I'm just the voice of this god, and you're gonna have to beat him up in order to like get this weapon you want to fight with.
Yeah, it was like, I like it when Philip Kennedy Johnson really shows that he understands the Kal-El character, because in that moment when Belev, or however you say his name, it's like Belev, he's like, you have to best this god, or you prepared to fight, and Superman says no, but I'm prepared to do whatever I need to do to save these people. He's not wanting to fight ever anybody. That's not who he is. And you're just like, subtle details. Yeah, perfect. Yes. What is going on, Stephen C?
Like somebody capable of anything, and he's still just like, no, like, I mean, kind of like, to go back to something else as well, reading Superman Up in the Sky, wrapping that up this week. Like, that's what I loved about the questions the little girl asked Superman at the end of all that. She's like asking him questions, and his answers are so selfless. She's like, is Wonder Woman as cool as she seems? And he's like, cooler. He's like, does Green Arrow like fights alongside you, but all he has is arrows, right? That's right. And does that make sense to you? If it makes sense to him, it makes sense to me. Then of course, like, the big question is like, if you and Batman were to fight, who would win? He's like, the Joker. And she's like, no, but really. And he's like, Batman. And she's like, but how? You have all the power. And he's like, because it's important to him. He's had a rough life, and it's friends like that really count for him. And she's like, but it doesn't make you happy to win. He's like, no, that's not where I get my happiness. Right. And I feel like that just like ties back into that core of like who Superman is. Like, he's not interested in fighting a god, but he will if it means saving people, because that's what he wants to do, and whatever it takes to get to the end goal is all that matters.
That's got to be the best answer I've ever heard in Batman, because it's important to him. He's had a rough life.
He needs some wins,
So it seems like what'll happen is, because there's one more issue, I think, in Action Comics in the war world, and then it'll jump to the one shot. So, it seems as though probably, Superman will pass the trials, whatever, and then he'll have what he needs to take on Mongol. That'll jump over to the one shot probably.
Boom! World Apocalypse.
August 31st. Woo! It's gonna be good. I hope it's just a slugfest. Not that I just want to see Superman fight, but I hope all the like work is put in and all the setups done, so it's like 22 pages of just like straight punching.
Did anyone else besides me, when they showed Byla's face, when they showed him close up, did anyone else think Jack Knight or from Starman? He had the goggles, he had the goatee, right?
I gotta look now.
I mean, I can picture it, but I don't know who Jack Knight is. So,
or Ted Knight. Yeah, Starman. No, Jack. It was Jack. It's on like the fourth page from the end.
Oh yeah. When he's just standing there with his hands out.
Yeah. And the panel just above that is the face of Byla, and it's like that looks just like Jack Knight. He's got goggles, he's got the goggles, he's got everything. He's like,
that's pretty funny.
He's not in it, but it reminded me of him, John.
Yeah, it's asking too much to get a Starman or Stargirl character these days.
Yeah.
So, keeping on the Superman track, did you pick this up, Paul?
I did, and so I hear that there's a pariah sighting in it.
There is, but it's not in line with it's all part of just this standalone. Right. 100 pages of uninterrupted, flawless storytelling right here. This right here if you don't think you're a Superman fan, if you've never tried Superman out before, I would encourage you all to go read this. I do know that there's an issue 2. I don't know if there's anything beyond that, because by the time we have 2 issues, that's 200 pages of straight story. No ads, no nothing. Like, they felt it was important enough not to try to sell you anything else while you were reading that. And this has the markings to be like a modern origin source. Like when someone like Batman Year One, like Batman's origin's been told time and time again, but Frank Miller's Year One you go back to it. You go back to it. This is one that you could go back to for Superman. This was really good.
Well,
yeah. Well, I wonder how they're going to wrap up.
Say that whole story came about because of the demise of 5G again.
Yes. So this is what would have been the new origin story had 5G went forward, because their whole plan was to reintroduce all the heroes, blah blah blah, and this was Superman's reintroduction.
Right.
This was his.
Sorry, Ryan. I
okay.
didn't mean to interrupt you, Ryan.
Oh no! I was just gonna say, I wonder how, because it covers like a span of 20 years from like 64 to 84 or something to that effect. So I do wonder how the 84 bit is going to wrap up, and I'm assuming that things turn out better than how they start, because otherwise it's not a very good origin story since the planet will be gone. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I wasn't expecting all the other characters.
Do you remember when Crisis on Infinite Earths happened?
True.
Okay.
So anything and everything can be true.
That's what I'm saying. This can end with Crisis because we know how it goes from there, kind of thing.
But yeah, reading it, I wasn't expecting all the other characters. I did not expect. I figured we would get Lex Luthor, of course, and Superman's cast of characters, but they really went all in. Especially, I was telling Mark, I wasn't even really sure if I was going to read it, and then I basically started reading it because I had read everything else already for the week, and I was like, I have an extra 40 minutes until I'm supposed to start work, and I'm already here, so I'm really just waiting for the clock to kick in. And so I started reading it. And I told my boss, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be 20 minutes late to work, because I was not gonna stop 60 pages into this at that point, because how Jordan shows up, and you kind of start to see that you're getting his origin story for this, and I'm like, oh, okay, this Batman thing's about to play out. All right, whatever. I would be.
Dude, that Batman origin introduction was awesome. The way that they introduced Bruce in this was he was a competing military contract with Lex Luthor for the government during the nuclear, the Cold War, and his plan was one that didn't get picked because Luthor doing some dirty dealing and blackmailing some people and stuff. But his Batman tech was tied into his initial plan for troops and stuff, and it got scrapped. And because of the deal with the government with making the little pitch, he had to not destroy it, he had to dispose of it. And Lucius Fox made sure to point out to him, I made sure with the lawyers that we wrote this a certain way. We didn't put in all this work for nothing. We're not destroying it. We're going to dispose of it, which means getting it off the books. And that's where he gets all this Batman tech. And it was early on.
They're calling you the Batman. Oh, I think it's the antennas.
Yeah.
Because he's got radio antennas on the helmet.
Yeah, there's some awesome stuff.
Bulletproof car.
There's some awesome stuff. Yeah, and I forgot what it was, but there's a scene where you see a car get messed up, and then the next time you see Bruce Wayne, he's looking at that car. He's like, "Is it bulletproof?" He's like,
well, I thought that came about because one of the major inciting incidents of this book is the Kennedy assassination.
Yes.
So I thought that was why he did the whole bulletproof car thing, was because that was a big point on everybody's mind.
Yeah. So in the beginning of this, we get a lot of awesome dynamic between Clark and Jonathan Kent, his father, and his dad keeps telling him to slow down. They're baling hay, and he's handing it to his dad one at a time. He's like, I could finish this all in a minute. He goes, yeah, but you can do it quick.
So I could have this all done before you even make it to the porch. And the panel that it takes place in, fields upon fields upon fields of hay, point made.
And he says, you can get it done quick, but will you get it done right? And that was kind of the theme that his father was trying to add with an older Clark who's antsy and ready to go out and do something with his abilities. He keeps kind of keeps trying to slow him down. Like, we know you can do things quick, but you have to do them right. He's like, I want to go help the world. He's like, help it how? You don't know what you want to do. You don't know how you would do it. You'd be doing it quick, but would you be doing it right? And then the events happen and the time comes and he just says, I have to go. And he just takes off. And Martha's like scared and concerned. And Jonathan immediately turns to her and like consoles her. It's okay, honey. He's ready. He'll be fine. Like everything that you saw him saying to Clark, holding him back, slowing him down, he was ready for Clark to go. But he didn't know if Clark was ready. Clark had to make that decision on his own. In classic Jonathan Kent fashion, he's not going to tell you, Clark, that's what you need to do. He never does that. Like, look at Superman up in the sky. He never does that. He's the springboard, and he just keeps reminding him of those morals and principles that matter in his decision-making process and allows him to make those decisions. He never told him, no, you can't go. Not once in the book. He said, yeah, you can, but would you be doing it quick or would you be doing it right? And he stayed. You know, he never holds him back. He makes him, by the time he leaves, he's who he's supposed to be. And it's awesome. It was just so good. So well done.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of the opposite dynamic of what we saw in that Tom King Superman one-shot from last week or the week before.
Yeah, where he was holding his son back.
Yeah, kind of the opposite dynamic of that, you know, which is interesting to see because Martha's probably been a bigger influence on his personality and his life, you know.
Well, the same way with Philip Kennedy Johnson stuff, too. And, like, with that, like, because we saw, like, he came back after he didn't have him for so long, so he's kind of guarding him tighter, you know. And he had that moment in those early issues where they were flying through space together and just looked over at him, and he had that moment. He knew that this is not a kid anymore. It's his grown son. With that Superman Worlds Without a Justice League, that's not real. And something in Clark knows that. He's holding on to that tight. So, yeah, I think that was intentional, you know. Yeah, I didn't miss it this time. God, that killed me.
Right.
Oh, man, that got me right in the feels.
But, yeah, we got Wonder Woman. That was a little cheap. I felt like her intro was a little cheap. Yeah, she just, like, kind of shows up. But we get a good, like, origin story for Hal Jordan. We get Superman. You know, Clark is there from the beginning. Superman comes into play. He gets his full, like, played out origin. And Batman's there. So we got those four. And then the preview page that they show for issue 2 has the Flash and somebody else in there, right?
Flash and Batman in his full-on costume, which we didn't get to the very last page. Yeah. Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, and the train. So yeah, like you get like a full thing. Pariah, basically Clark Kent gets put on like the Kooks and Cranks articles for the newspaper, and so he's like interviewing all these people that everybody think is just like nuts. And he goes into a bar and meets Pariah, which is like one of the most chilling scenes I've ever read in a comic book, because Pariah is basically telling him everything about Infinite Crisis, and he's just like, I don't know, I couldn't shake it. Like, and Lois is like, yeah, those are the ones that are good because they really convince you that like they're crazy is for real. And he's like, no, but there's just something different about it, you know. But you as the reader feel it too, like it's well played by the art and the writing. And they try to add a little bit of levity to the situation. Because Lois says, well, what else did he say? What else did he say that was just absolutely crazy? He said, oh, I don't know. They said the world was going to be taken over by bugs or insects or something goofy like that. She goes, yeah, that's just crazy. And as soon as they say that, the news comes on introducing this brand new band, the Beatles. And you're us as readers like, oh, dude, he's right again. He's right again. And Clark just looks at the TV like, uh-oh. But yeah, so I do want to go back and touch on the beginning of the book real quick. The opening scene that really takes place timeline-wise at the very end. We're introduced to Superman, Lois, and his son Jonathan Kent in the Fortress of Solitude that's slowly falling down around them. And he's talking this fantastic narration, Bubbles, about what it means to really exist and how precious every minute is and how it's a miracle that we're even here at all, and how we should be grateful and this and that. And it's like Superman's just accepting what's happening around him. And he's not out there trying to stop it or anything. He's just trying to spend these moments with his family, which is a little uncharacteristic of him. But it makes you wonder why. You know, having read the rest of the book, he's had that conversation with Pariah. We know something's coming. And as the readers, we know what comes after this as well. So I'm really interested to see how they tie in that opening scene to this book, because that was a very also chilling. There was a lot of really like hell yeah moments, just bone chilling moments. This was just a damn good book.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
And
good stuff.
Mike Allred's art is it's so precise.
God.
It's so
Dude, that was a
his
treat.
line work.
And we get a lot in here. Oh, and Lex Luthor. I'm not gonna say. Y'all go read it. There's some what did he just do moments.
Oh my god, dude! Like Lex Luthor's plan. Like, oh my god, that character is so dastardly.
Miss Tetzmacher was in the book. He comes walking in with the Hawaiian shirt. He walks away from the screen. You see the guy holding it up. First I'm like, what the hell? Oh my god! It was classic Lex Luthor move.
Yeah,
and
so
then,
good.
Then you turn the page and you're like, you go from chuckling to he just all of them, the whole city.
Him like, walking around with that apple.
Yeah,
like you should really eat some of that fruit. There's not gonna be a lot of it around pretty soon.
Yeah. But yeah, that was actually my read of the week for the books that came out this week. My favorite book that I read this week was definitely Starhenge, but that Superman Space Age was my read of the week for the ones that released this week.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Rom V is now on Detective Comics. Rom V is now on Detective Comics. He's making a come up.
Yeah.
So both of y'all read this one?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Paul, what'd you think of it? First issue with Rom V on here, new story art, new creative team.
I really liked it. I mean, it's although I'm not a big opera fan, that's the how I would describe it is it seemed as though it was operatic.
Yes.
And and that was really, I really enjoyed it. And Raphael Albuquerque, the art is just, I mean, I've loved him ever since, American Vampire and all that stuff that he used to do. Yeah, it seems as though when Romvi, almost anything he writes, he almost seems as though he's like lifting the character and lifting the storytelling, to a whole new level. It really was. It was just incredible for me. I loved it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was like for me, it was sort of a simmer. Like it didn't blow my mind. It wasn't over the top. Kind of like yourself. I had mentioned this whenever they first kind of announced what the book was and stuff. I was like, yeah, these are all elements I don't care about. I'm not really into opera or like the gothic thing or like anything he was kind of talking about in that first press release. But I was like, I love Rom V's work, the way he writes and creates these worlds and characters and stuff. Like, I'm excited to see what he does with them. I'm sure he'll win me over. And he definitely did that. Like, and what I appreciate about this was like, it wasn't like over the top and super bombastic. Right. I didn't go like, oh my God, like, like Chip Zdarsky's Batman 125 or whatever, when he took over, that one had like genuine like moments, but this one didn't.
Killed the penguin, activated if he was just going for the fences.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And I love the way that Rom V has set this up because it's a slower build, which gives it the opportunity to build so much more tension and like really pay off in big ways further down the road. So I'm super excited to see where it goes. And I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I wasn't looking forward to all those elements, but they play together well. Like I totally got the opera gothic vibes that he was going for. I remember he had initially, that first press release mentioned like Batman's going to have to face his own mortality. We got that in here. I was like, he hit everything that was in that solicit, and most of the time they don't. So like I was impressed with how honest and upfront the solicit was.
I like the Dark Knight vibes it gave off. Like it gave off that lone vigilante. He's really gruff, He does reach out to the Bat family. He talks to Dick and stuff, and you get that loner vibe out of this one. And the way he operates, he seems a little rougher too with people. And the whole plot wise in this one, he went to investigate some crap down at the shipyard, and it looks like it reminded me of Void Song a little bit. It looks like some kind of frequency is going off that's represented by these just rainbow like color vision disturbance and stuff, and that's clearly affecting people in odd ways. And I don't know. I have no clue where this is going to go. I know it's supposed to get into, like you said, the whole mortality thing and the whole concept of demons, and if they're going to be like metaphysical or actually real or what. But it's, man, I say it all the time. Detective Comics, if you want a consistent, awesome, just true to form Batman comic book, Detective Comics is the one you should be reading. I think Mariko Tamaki did a great job carrying the title for a while, brought some really cool stuff to it. But I am beyond myself excited for this one.
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like the Batman title is the one that's trying to get all the press. It's doing it. But the consistency one is Detective. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Batman's the gimmick title.
Right.
Yeah.
The primary Batman title is nothing but a tie-in comic. You know how every book feels like it's always affected when tie-ins happen and it just interrupts the story because we have to do this with it. That's what the main title feels like. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely good stories that come out of it and stuff, but not for a while. There haven't been. Joshua Williams' little 3-issue story arc was fun, but doesn't really play into much, and I think Chip Zdarsky's going to do phenomenal with it. But then again, it's a fantastic writer on the primary title. Where
I was going to say, like, if there's any like gimmick capable writer that I do enjoy, it's Chip. So like that works, but it's still just like a lot of like over the top and crazy moments and stuff.
And to our point is it's failsafe. First appearance, failsafe. You got to get the failsafe cover. It's like it's.
I bought it. I just threw it in my box full of future giveaway stuff, though. You know what I mean? Like, if it becomes something, that's a good giveaway. If not,
I think Batman's going to be one of those titles that I enjoy each issue, and like it'll probably be like top of my read every time it drops. But like, Detective has the ability to do what Action Comics is doing right now, where I'm excited for like this whole story to be told.
Yeah, and the cover work was phenomenal. Like you said, Albuquerque's interiors were great. It had that Batman vibe, that gothic vibe was super present in it, which I think works perfect because, like it feels like it almost has a little bit of branding that like fit in with the movie. Like it made me think immediately of how Wayne Manor looked in the Batman with all like the crazy wooden like carved architecture and stuff in there. So it had that cool, like the fact that it connected those things I thought was really good because, you want your movies to draw people to the comics and vice versa. And I thought that was, it felt like it was like, this feels like Batman, Where in the primary title, like who knows what he's up to these days. He's hanging out in bunkers, drinking energy drinks with Ghostmaker. And
yeah, exactly. And it was Punchline, and then it was Clown Hunter, and then it was Ghostmaker, and then it was Abyss, and now it's Failsafe. It's like, it's just it is. It's designed to sell toys, probably somewhere down the road.
No, be sure to watch the McFarlane Instagram page because we'll be dropping the Failsafe action figure tomorrow. Last book I have on my list for tonight, Ryan. How many more do you have?
That's basically it.
You should have one more at least.
Well, the one you're about to mention.
Okay,
I can tell you, like. Kaiju score Steal from the Gods. It was like, that was the end of the series, end of the arc, and it was like, So
speaking of kaiju,
this one though, fire!
Swamp Thing goes full kaiju,
right?
Bro, like that last issue, Paul. I know you were excited about it. Levi Kamei still was attached to the Green, but it doesn't have the full connection to the Parliament because they're putting their trust in his brother Jacob to go stop the Avatar industry from taking root any farther and destroying the planet. So a depowered Swamp Thing was taken by Hal Jordan out to space to try to stop an invading army. And to help Swamp Thing do this, he juiced him with the Green Lantern ability. And that's where that last issue ended. And this one starts, and man, when you juice Swamp Thing with the power of the Green Lantern, he goes big. He goes real big. He just shows up huge, like stays huge and starts decimating all these mechanical machines that the Avatar industry is just pumping out left and right, and he communes with his brother, and they kind of find peace. And this issue specifically, what it really hit on, there was some cool action. There always is. But what this issue really hit on was the power of ideas and how coming to terms with how that's all like we really are. We're manifestations of ideas. Swamp Thing being one, his brother being one, and how neither one of them truly have the capability to handle the situation. It would take a more deadly idea to really save us right now. And that's when he introduces his brother to Trinity, the avatar of nuclear holocaust, basically, who just shows up because she just has the worst timing in the world. Like, luckily her nature was set from the simple action of a man draping a coat over her. This simple idea that this woman needs help set her personality, so she's here to help. And Swamp Thing brings her in the last of this book. It was just such a beautiful story. Again, Rom V storytelling is just crazy.
I don't think I've read anything that I haven't enjoyed from him. I mean, he was the reason why I was picking up Justice League for a long time, because just for the backup.
That Justice League Dark fire.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I mean, there was so much to enjoy in this issue. But I really like seeing like Levi kind of come into his own, like using his powers. We kind of saw it whenever he went to Detroit and all that. But this was like the first time where it felt like he really understands how to use the Swamp Thing powers, the way that he like wrapped all the vines and the cogs and everything. Is like, yeah, basically like I'm already like one step ahead of you on all this. So, you might as well go ahead and give in. But then, like, also to see him kind of have developed that mental capacity to play chess, because for so long through this series, it's been him learning about his powers and just kind of doing as he goes and reacting very emotionally. And in this issue, we saw him kind of go like, no, I understand what I need to say to my brother to resolve the tension between us. And, then he dug into that emotional core of, like, I understand what our father was saying to me all those years ago and what he really meant, and so like he kind of took logic and tied it to the emotion that's been driving him for so long. And then he goes into the actual structure and talks to the man he met the idea that he met in the desert. He's like, you're not as powerful as you think you are, but you once told me that an idea is where all the power is. And so now I understand that humanity, is simply an idea. Civilization is an idea, and we can preserve this, and like he told him, like, I'm already in all of your machines. I'm already.
That was a huge testament to the writer. I mean, the artist. I had to go back and look at the 2 panels before, because he travels down through the machine, through the cogs and the gears to get down to him, and he manifests in front of him, and it looks like he's like stepping out of the cogs, and he has all these vines and stuff going behind him. But the next couple of panels, you see the vines are still there, and he literally tells the guys, like, I'm in all of your machines right now. Like, while we've been talking, I'm sitting here. Yeah,
because when he's like a kaiju, he comes up and he has all the vines come out of his fingertips, and they go in between all the cogs and stuff. And then he becomes like a little like seedling thing that travels through those vines and gets like dropped down into the base. And then he like sprouts from that, and he's still connected to all of the vines that are in the cog. Like, it's crazy how intricate all the artwork is on that and stuff. Yeah, it was intense. But yeah, like basically he started playing chess and stopped, reacting to everything emotionally. Like, he figured out, like, yeah, he's right. Like, ideas are where the power's at. But I'm an idea, and all of these people are an idea. And if we can rally around that, we can do this. And so I'm in all your machines. I'm going to destroy everything. But there's an idea more powerful than us that's walking around out there right now. And we got to figure out how to make all of these things work without destroying all of the ideas at once, Because
he explained to him, while all this is happening, the alien armada is still up there, ready to come down. Like you can have this, you can defeat me, but they're going to have you. So what are we going to do?
Yeah, because he tells him, like, you're worried about humanity destroying everything, there's a nuclear bomb just like walking around on Earth right now, ready to kill all of us. There's this like plant armada in space that's willing to destroy the planet. It doesn't matter how you feel about humanity. If there's nothing to survive on this planet, you have nothing, because it takes humanity to make industry, and you're just the idea of industry. So without the humanity, you're nothing.
Yeah, just phenomenal issue. Jam-packed. I highly recommend anybody who didn't pick the series up or stopped somewhere along the way. It's only 16 issues. There's one more issue left. I'm sure it's going to go out with a bang. Take it easy. We're about done here as well. That was the last book. You guys got anything else y'all want to hit on tonight?
No, that's about it for me.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Well, let me give the little thank yous.
Go see Superpets.
Yeah, it was fun. Big shout out. And
Did you notice
Big Collectibles real quick? Follow them on social media. Hit them up at BigTimeCollectibles.com. They're always doing some amazing stuff, exclusives, FOC orders, stuff like that, as well as mystery boxes. They have become the leading retailer for mystery boxes, and there's going to be one Chris the Comic Vet featured it today on his channel, Edge of Spider-Verse. It's a new couple issue Spider-Verse series, but they have an exclusive for that. Gorgeous cover that was only included in these mystery boxes. It was a con exclusive mystery box. And there will be a future mystery box battle like we've done on the channel before. In the near future, those boxes are set to ship the week of the 8th. And myself, Paul, DJ Links, Nick, and I'm going to see if there's anybody else that hit me up or anything. I got to check because I just started figuring all that out. But we're going to be doing another mystery box battle for that. So that's always a good time. We try to get some special guests on there, do something. But as per usual, there'll also be a giveaway for that event like we like to do. Throw some stuff back out to the viewers, make it fun for them, for helping us judge it as we go. If you need anything cleaned or pressed, hit up Justin. Link in the description. Use that promo code We Are Legion and take advantage of the special deal he's got going on. What's up, Paul?
No, I was gonna say, going back to Superpet, you mentioned the little Easter eggs and everything. Did you notice at the very beginning when they were on Krypton and they were getting ready to did you notice the music? I got tingly.
Dude, I immediately looked at my wife. I said, "It's John Williams."
Yeah.
They had Danny Elfman music for Batman. They had John Williams music for Superman. Alfred Molina. As soon as it starts, I'm listening to Alfred Molina's voice. I'm like, Alfred Molina's Jor-El. And they're in like the style of Superman the movie. His rocket ship was the rocket ship from Superman the movie. I'm like, oh my god.
But when that music came on, I'm like, I got all tingly. It was like, oh
yeah, it was amazing. So appreciate everybody coming and hanging out tonight. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Paul, for coming and kicking it. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.
And you're welcome to come use one of the 8 easels we have set up for creating art here at the show for consideration for our art auctions on Saturday for our major auction at 8 p.m. at the Weston Ballroom. And the smaller auctions we'll have here on the convention floor on Sunday starting at noon.
That's a flash from the past.
So any artist that we have here, either as an exhibitor artist in Artist Alley or an aspiring artist, if you'd like to come up and create a piece on stage here at the art stage, please come on by.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
Great to meet you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, I just want to shake your hand.